Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on The Winter's Tale and we get to hear from this shepherd today in Act 4, Scene 4. So Act 4, Scene 4 is when this sheep shearing festival is going to happen, and the shepherd, whose son is the clown, has also raised Perdita as if she were his daughter, and she has been named like the queen of the feast. So she had sent the clown to buy all the groceries so she could make all the food, all that sort of thing. And earlier in this scene, she's walking along with Florizel, and of course she's dressed up being the hostess of the feast, and he's dressed down to play his part in the feast, Florizel being the son of Polixenes, who's the king of Bohemia. So they were remarking on how funny it is that their stations seem to be switched, but that they're still in love. And she's like, yeah, but you won't still say that when you have to say it to your dad. And he's like, I absolutely will. And let's just have fun and be merry and pretend that today is the day that we're getting married. And then they start to hear other people start to arrive. And those other people who are arriving are the shepherd and Polixenes and Camillo, among others. But remember, Polixenes and Camillo are disguised at this point. So they have also dressed down because they want to find out why Florizel has been hanging out at the shepherd's so much. And here's a hint, it's because he's in love with Perdita and that's where she lives. So they all come in, this train of people, including those three, and the shepherd says to Perdita, "Fie, daughter, when my old wife lived, upon this day she was both pantler, butler, cook, both dame and servant, welcomed all, served all, would sing her song and dance her turn, now here at upper end of the table, now in the middle, on his shoulder and his, her face afire with labor, and the thing she took to quench it, she would to each one sip. You are retired, as if you were a feasted one and not the hostess of the meeting. Pray you, bid these unknown friends to us welcome. It is a way to make us better friends, more known. Come, quench your blushes and present yourself, that which you are, mistress of the feast. Come on, and bid us welcome to your sheep shearing, as your good flock shall prosper." So the shepherd is offering some critiques here of her hostessing abilities. He's not very impressed by her. His wife used to be just the absolute social butterfly when she was the queen of the feast or the mistress of the feast. She would talk to everybody, she would toast everybody, she was flitting around all over the place, making sure that everybody felt welcome and making sure that everybody had everything that they needed. She was equal parts center of the room and server to everyone. And he's like, but you, Perdita, are just kind of hanging out as if you were a guest at this whole thing and not the hostess. You should be running around welcoming everybody and, hey, check out these new friends who we don't know, who are Polixenes and Camillo in disguise. He's like, you should welcome them. So she goes to welcome them, and she gives first Polixenes some flowers, and she gives more flowers that are associated with winter than with spring, and he remarks on that, and they get into a little bit of a discussion about horticulture and crossbreeding plants and things like that, and she is against it, and she doesn't like plants that get very crossbred like gillyflowers, whereas he's like, but that's kind of a natural thing, and you can get some really cool buds if you do grafting and all that sort of thing. She's like, yeah, I don't want to grow those anyway. And then she turns to Camillo and gives him some flowers that are appropriate for a middle-aged man because they come midsummer, whatever. And he's like, if I was one of your sheep, I wouldn't be grazing, I would just be gazing all the time, which is a terrible, terrible flirty pun. Terrible flirty pun. And she has a response, which is tomorrow's monologue. So I will see you then for that. Mwah.